Who is the best Harmony character in the game? With the release of the imaginary Trailblazer and Robin, there's going to be a total of 9 Harmony units in the game. With each team only having 2 flex slots, it's a tough decision to decide who goes where. So, I'll tackle every Harmony unit and show you spots where they can shine, and sometimes, these non-limited characters might even outperform the rest in certain situations. I'll cut to the chase. The best Harmonies are the limited 5 stars, no surprise. Runmei's current best use case is in Dot and Break teams, and Robin's best use case is in the Fua team, and they can't really replace each other's niche. It's because Hoyoverse designed these characters with a comp in mind, and that it's utterly useless to compare these units with a conclusive who's better mindset. The true answer for the question is much more muddled and requires way more nuance than the clickbaity thumbnails you see on YouTube. So, let's get verbose. Runmei's true strength lies in the fact that no one else in the game can help breaking toughness better than her. In today's content where there's enemies such as Sam and the dinosaur that needs to be broken, it's easy to point out her usefulness in break comps. Runmei provides respen through her ultimate, which is one of the very few ways to increase break damage. She also boosts damage percent and speed, so that's the main reason why she's seen so frequently in dot comps. Because those daughters' kit dots scale off damage percent, and the rest of the 5-star harmonies buff crit, which daughters do not benefit from. In that manner, I'm sure that Runmei won't be easily power crept in her own niche. Robin, on the other hand, gives her whole team attack percent, crit percent, damage percent, and advances all their actions on ult. Giving her kit a full read-through, it's easy to tell where her best use case is. Due to her ultimate having a ridiculous energy cost, you'd need to have units that attack a lot. This is because the more attacks your team does, the more energy Robin gains due to her talent. And with her trace slightly buffing follow-up comps, she's meant to be run with Topaz in a Fua team. Of course, her usage is going to be broader than that, as she can be used in multiple hypercarry and zero cycle comps, as well as E2 Acheron comp. But in terms of design, Fua is what she's geared towards. Sparkle, on the other hand, is a very simple and straightforward hypercarry harmony that fixes all your SP problems. Even in her most negative rotation, she's still SP positive. I highly doubt there's going to be any unit that replaces her in that sense. She's great for Daniel, Qingque, and countless more. So, what's the point, right? Who should you even pull for? If there's no peak, what are we even aiming for? My personal answer is that you should pull for the one that supports the majority of your roster's archetypes. For most players, that's going to be hypercarry, since most of the units in 1.x were built for it. These days though, you've got Acheron Nihility, Topaz Follow-Up, and Kafka Dots. There will genuinely never be a skeleton key that will fit all these teams. I suggest giving your roster a run-through to find out. In fact, you should comment your roster here and I can give it a quick assessment. Hoyoverse is meticulously designing these characters so that every limited character is useful in their own way. Now, even if these 3 are at the peak, there are still other characters that are actually worth your time and investment. I hesitate to call these characters A tier, but know that these characters can frequently replace the Apex Harmonies. Now the Nihility, Harmony Trailblazer just came out, but I am boldly stating that they will be used quite frequently in the upcoming break-centric teams. All of us get their E6 for free, and there's quite a lot to unpack. I'll make a full guide detailing how to use them in the future, so subscribe if you want to see that. For now, I'll give you the gist of their kit. They rely on using their skill to break the enemies, and let me tell you, that thing shreds through toughness like it's butter. And for their ultimate, they increase their whole team's break effect and activates super break damage. I'll expound on the details of this effect in the aforementioned video. It's super funny to me that there's absolutely no attack percent, speed, or crit percent buffs on this unit, and it quite literally looks like just a Nihility unit under the guise of the Harmony. Harmony Blazer looks very easy to use. Before Sparkle came along, Bronya was the best unit for buffing hyper carries, and she still does a good job of doing that today. She takes meticulous speed tuning to use, but her buffs and full action forwards are very potent, allowing you to double your DPS's turns. But of course, this comes at the cost of a very high SP consumption. This problem can also be alleviated by units like Jingliu and Blade. who have lower SP consumption than most hyper carries. However, due to the fact that she needs to be -1 or 1.7 times of her DPS's speed, this makes her very abrasive and hard to use with other units that increase their own speed or other harmonies that increase the carry speed. Despite all the comparisons with Sparkle, I think Bronya's still worth it to build, especially if your roster has 2 hyper carries, and she's nice to have just in case you're going to run her in Team 2. I personally have both Bronya and Sparkle, and I don't regret building either of them. Tingyun's been great ever since 1.0, and for good reason. She gives attack percent, energy, damage percent, and even gives an additional damage MV to a single unit when they attack. She is currently irreplaceable for units that are hungry for energy and can be used well with all hyper carries. Since Tingyun's a hyper carry support, she often gets comparisons with Bronya and Sparkle. Since Bronya gives the carry extra turns, she essentially gives them 30 more energy by allowing them to act again. While both Bronya and Sparkle do indeed give more buffs, Tingyun still pulls ahead in terms of energy generation because of her E2. Her E2 gives the carry extra energy for every kill that they score. And of course, her best use is alongside Seela, since she relies so much on getting kills and using her ultimate. Now I'd say the upcoming characters are around B or C tier, but they can still be very useful in the correct situation. Asta. She brings attack percent and speed to her whole team, which can allow you to run attack boots on your carries. Her speed boost is useful when activating certain effects, like Glamoth's 161 requirement. She also has a minor fire damage boost that can be relevant when running her with fire carries. She's also extremely hard to run with Bronya. I've tried to do it, and you lose so much value off the action forward. The best comps to run her in are comps where you have 2 carries, and their multi-hit skill is quite useful against enemies that need to be broken, such as the 9-stack Shadow. She's a useful F2P option, but she's generally superseded by Ruan Mei. Yukong, a very niche character, but with enough effort, she'll be able to provide massive buffs to your party. The obstacles you have to hurdle while playing Yukong is first, the fact that she is SP neutral or negative, meaning you're going to have less SP for your healers or your other supports. Secondly, is that her buffs only last for the next 2 ally actions, meaning that even if you go out of your way to use her SP positive rotation, the uptime of her buff will suffer quite a lot. Thirdly, is the fact that you must speed tune her to be very slightly above your DPS so that your healers don't eat the buffs instead. The upside, however, is that her buffs are huge, and their breaking capability is pretty good too. To be able to shed off her downsides, you can run DPSs that don't consume much SP like Arlen. Jingliu is great alongside her, since she can fully utilize Yukong by using her ultimate and taking 2 turns, effectively eating the 2 bowstrings in one go. But I'll be real with you, I think Tingyun's still better in that spot. As of now, Yukong's quite a hassle to run, but she's decent if you're putting in the effort to make her usable. I think it's a little crazy that she's harder to use than Bronya, but has less payoff. Hanya. Despite using her skill often, Hanya is an extremely SP positive unit due to her skill that refunds SP. She fares decently as a dual carry support since her talent applies a damage percent buff to any ally that hits the enemy. But her ultimate that increases attack percent and speed is still single target, so she's primarily used on SP hungry teams or hyper carries. Hanya's reliant on S5 cogs for fast rotations, and her SP refund also needs you to have your supports to attack frequently to make the most of it. The problem is that her Eidolons aren't enough to make her match an E0 Sparkle, but she's a good F2P option for units like Qingque and Danil. I think Harmony is the absolute strongest path in the game, since you will rarely run a team without one. Hoyo has just made them too valuable, and they even started giving nihility-like effects to them. Even if the limited harmonies are better than the 4-star cast, I still have pretty much everyone built, because they're quite versatile, and I find myself swapping between them in MOC. Every day, the paths are getting blurrier, and soon, they'll be more compressed than the webms I use when editing. That's it from me, my name is Kyte, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya, peace. Also, my voice is like really weak right now, so sorry about that. Getting quite sick, but still gotta make them videos. Anyway, bye for real this time.